Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It's Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. I've got Jesse Moeller at jmoeller05 with me. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going pretty good. We are talking about this offset, but yeah, we're just both like trying to get through this. The weather, everything's turning against us. So yeah, we're in fighting shape. You could say we're
Yeah,
ready
yeah,
to
we're
roll.
struggling. We're struggling. I don't need the criticism this time. It's a rough time of year where I'm dealing with a cold. Me and my kid are both home. He's in the couch in the other room, medicated and half asleep, and then half yelling at Fortnite from time to time. So I'm stuffy and will be muting myself often. And Jesse's exhausted, so it's we're off to a good start. But it's that time of year where I think everyone's running out of gas, and the weather more so than anything. It's not even like this week wasn't too bad like content wise. I just found the weather's killing me. I can't stay healthy. It's freaking. I'm in Canada, so it's freezing out, and then not only that, then it rains and then it snows, and been sick for 3 weeks, but we are getting through it here. It was a terrible week for injuries. Let me tell you that. Good God, they were
Yeah,
brutal.
it's
I
not
feel
fun.
like
My guy Tank.
I
Still talk
looked
about it.
through. I don't think I've ever seen a season where there've been more backup quarterbacks playing at the same time. But so we
Yeah,
guess we'll start
I
with
was
a
looking
little
at.
injury rundown here. Tank Dell, broken leg, likely surgery. Return average equals 4 months. This is from Deepak Chona's Twitter at SportMD Analysis. Data projects no lingering impact, but he won't be back till next season. Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson. Video suggests high ankle sprain. Averages 3 weeks with a big efficiency dip when he returns. MRI is Monday, could be even longer, and an IR stent could be in play. Amari Cooper and Derrick Henry both out with head injuries, likely into concussion protocol, likely to miss the next week, week 14, but beyond that, nothing more. Although, having said that, sorry, as you can tell, I'm dying again. Having said that, recently we've seen a few players, including Chris Olave, who cleared in under a week. So keep an eye on Cooper and Henry. The Commanders' Brian Robinson, hamstring, averages about 2 to 3 weeks. Uh, his practice severity will help you to determine when to expect him, but it's probably on the longer end, 2 to 3 weeks there.
Yeah, it's not good.
Puka looks like they gave him some kind of anesthetic injection for a rib injury, went to the locker room, came back, so minimal concerns there. Hollywood Brown re-aggravated his heel that kept him out of practice. Favors him missing next week. Obviously, he's on bye this week and then the week after. So solid chance to return by week 15, but likely out this week on bye and then week 14. Kenny Pickett had surgery today. So his has not been updated. He said will likely attempt to practice next week. That's not happening. He had surgery this morning on his ankle. They say he's out 2 to 3 weeks. It doesn't look like he's been IR'd yet, so it might only be 2 or 3 weeks. Derek Carr, another one in concussion protocol. I expect him to miss this week 14, but like I said, you never know. So that is a particularly brutal injury week and just what we needed. Two more backup quarterbacks playing. Having said that, I guess Jameis Winston's not the worst. And that's how bad these backup quarterbacks have been. Joe Flacco was a savior. It was like, oh my God, a great backup. Finally, Joe Flacco. Thank God. So, yeah.
Yeah, he is such an upgrade from what we'd see. We're like, holy crap, he can command an offense and march them down the field. It's a miracle. It's like, yeah, like Joe Flacco, like he's a really good quarterback in the past. It makes sense. So, yeah, now we're hoping James does it too because my goodness, it's rough. Look at Thursday night. It's like New England and Pittsburgh, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just no, it's rough.
Bailey Zappi against Mitch Trubisky. Ooh,
Oh,
wee. Can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah. Zach, I'm trying to adjust my chair here. Every time I sit
yeah.
back, it's my kid's chair, and he games like this or something. So every time
Oh
I go to
yeah,
lean
you're
back,
adjusting.
I lean back all the way like I'm trying to sleep on the show. So I got adjusted here.
Yeah, right.
All right,
I'm,
let's get into it. First game we are going to recap. If you missed Thursday night recap, we already have that uploaded. It was done Friday morning, so go check out Seahawks and Cowboys. This one we have Houston ekes one out 22-17 over Denver. Houston goes to 7-5. Denver at 6-6. Russell Wilson, 186 yards, one touchdown, and three bloody picks. 44 yards on the ground and 1 rushing touchdown is interesting. CJ Stroud, 274 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a terrible game for CJ Stroud by his standards. The running backs here, it's rather interesting. Nobody was great. Javonte Williams had 13 carries for 46 yards and 3 for 24 through the air. Nothing notable out of McLaughlin or the Italian Samaje Parini. Damian Pierce had 15 carries for 41 yards. So some very efficient play here by both starting running backs. Pierce was saved by a touchdown. Devin Singletary had 8 for 36 and 1 for 4 through the air. So he came crashing back down to earth, and it looks like Damian Pierce may have his job back. The receivers is where it's at. Cortland Sutton had 2 for 77 and a touchdown, a long touchdown, which saved his day. Judy had 3 for 51. Mims had 1 for 8. Nico Collins was the main beneficiary of Tank Dell and his broken leg. Just a sec. Kenny Pickett has high ankle sprain and underwent surgery this morning. He is out this week. No kidding.
Yeah, he's gonna be gone. He's not gonna be back anytime soon.
He had surgery. He is out this week on Thursday and could be out longer than that. No kidding. Sorry.
Like how bad is that if you needed surgery? Like that's what I'm like. If it's an ankle sprain and you need surgery, yeah. Like
he needed to tell us he's not go. So you mean he had surgery Monday morning and isn't going to play Thursday night? Well, no shit. But anyways,
yeah.
So Tank Dell, broken leg, he's done for the year. Nico Collins is the beast in his stead. 9 for 191 and 1 touchdown. Nobody else really did anything, which is surprising. I was writing up Noah Brown as someone I want to be adding off the waiver wire, and surprisingly, he didn't do shit.
No surprise. He's not good.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan was okay by tight end standards. 5 points for Houston, 9 points for Denver. What really stood out here to you?
Yeah, so like it's obviously it's Nico's world. We're all living in it now. You take away someone who's as good as Tank Dell from that offense, and it just catapults Nico Collins into. We were already talking about him as like a top 12 wide receiver. Yeah, like we were already talking about him there. He's going to be a high end, like mid range wide receiver at this point. So if you have Nico, that's a massive boost. Yeah, the weird thing with the Singletary issue is I don't understand why they brought him back, but yeah, he saw the snaps, he took the role. So good luck with his backfield moving forward. Fun fact, Singletary was still better on a per touch basis. So I don't know how that backfield's going to shake out. I thought we had something we clearly don't. With hamstring injuries, they take a little while. So case in point, Brevin Jordan might be viable for the next few weeks, which is good for him. And he was actually pretty good. I'm looking at the routes run. He basically saw 75% of the routes run, which is what you need for tight ends to be viable. So you can pick up that tight end and run with him. And yeah, the Denver offense.
That's his highest snap share of the season. That's probably his highest snap share over every other game in the season combined.
It might be his highest of his career, honestly. Like he just has not been very good across his career. So yeah, like we need tight ends, and there's a few of them that are viable, and he'll count as long as Schultz is out. So if we have that,
would be confirmed. That is his highest snap share by 15% in his NFL career.
Yeah. So yeah, you have a vibe. If you desperately need tight ends, you can pick him up off the waiver wire. Like plug him into your offense because it's CJ Stroud. You see it. He didn't do great, but he was viable. So you know what? I'll take it if you're desperate need. We're 3 for 64. Like that works. That saves the day. The Denver offense is just gross, man. It's so rough. Like even Javonte with his work didn't do anything. Cortland Sutton's the only guy you can count on. Fun fact, like Russell Wilson and CJ Stroud have like the same amount of pass attempts. Russell Wilson just got there based on rushing volume, which is weird. He had 10 more carries again this week. So yeah, I guess they're running him a lot. But those turnovers are goodness gracious. It is hard, man. That offense just makes it really difficult on everyone to be viable outside of Cortland Sutton.
The rushing touchdown basically just canceled out the 3 interceptions for Russ. That's all it did. That's why they're both even. Yep. Good God. Not sure I want to live on that. Yeah, that's kind of a scary one there. I think Russ is still just a QB2 for me in Superflex. Stroud, he was bound to have. That's probably his worst game in a while. Worst game since week 8. So that was bound to happen. He's still a starter for me. Yep. I don't really want any of the running backs. I think I'd start Javonte out of all of them if I had to. Mm-hmm. He's probably a low end 2 or a 3 for me. Nico Collins is now a top 10. He's top 12 in rankings anyways, but he's all systems go. Cortland Sutton, I think, is a solid 2 for me. And then I don't really want Judy right now. What's he playing? 53 overall. That's gross. Mims is a decent stash. There's got to be someone else on this roster to emerge. I added in my waiver column both Noah Brown and John Mechie. I would really love it if Mechie was the guy because Mechie is very readily available. So in my stash guide, Mechie is someone where if you have an extra roster spot, I am scooping him up everywhere. Just in case next week he is the guy. Who do they get next week? The Jets. That's not a great matchup. And then they get
not ideal.
Browns.
Yeah, like just stash those guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna stash him, but that's not ideal over the next 3 weeks. So
yeah, because like what's weird is Noah Brown was really involved when Nico was out earlier in the year because they kind of plays the role in that offense. So they need someone to play the Tank Dell role, and the thing is, like, they just don't have that on that offense. That's why Tank Dell is so good. So yeah, like I'd be fine just stashing Mechie or Brown or even Woods at this point. You just need somebody else to step forward, but it just seems like it's probably gonna be Nico and just a couple other guys fighting for it.
All right, next up, jeez, Chargers 6, Patriots nothing.
It's so bad.
This game is ugly. This game is how I feel. The Chargers somehow stay in the playoff hunt at 5-7. The Patriots are 2-10. And I didn't realize how many of these ugly teams are still in the playoff hunt till I was doing something the other day and realized that 5-7, the Chargers are still in it. I was going through and I decided that because we're going to have some downtime for the playoffs, right? Like once the fantasy playoffs end, we don't have as much content. Yeah. So I'm going to do a fantasy court series where I'm going to find someone who's a fan of each team that made the playoffs, and they have to argue with someone who doesn't like that team as to why they are a legit Super Bowl contender. And so I made a list of, because I wanted to start recruiting who I wanted for each team, and I'm looking, I'm going, holy shit, there's like conceivably 15 teams that are in this hunt on each side. Like there's only one team really eliminated. Like New England wasn't on the list, but I was like, oh my God, LA's 5-7, and they're still like one game out of the 7th wild card, which I forgot was a thing. I forgot that they did that, but yeah. All right, well, let's get back into this game. Not a great game. We thought the quarterbacks were bad in the last one. Check out this one. Justin Herbert killed me everywhere. 212 yards, -5 yards rushing. Bailey Zappi, 41 yards and 16 yards rushing. Barf on both ends. What the hell is wrong with Austin Eckler? I do not know. We'll get into that in a minute. He had 14 carries for 18 yards and 2 catches for 9 yards. You can't pay for efficiency like that. Another one of my waiver wire ads here is Zeke Elliott. Ramondre left with an injury, and I think he's out a couple of weeks. He had 9 for 39 and a fumble lost. Zeke had 17 for 52 and 4 for 40 through the air. I also have Kevin Harris here on my waiver wire stash because I think he's probably the freshest of the bunch. He was on the practice squad, still is. I don't know if he still is. He might not be now, 3 months, but I don't know. I'd rather stash him. I know what Ty Montgomery is. I'd rather just stash him. So the receivers, none were great. We had 3 who were salvageable. Keenan Allen goes 5 for 58. Quentin Johnson goes 5 for 52. Devontae Parker goes 4 for 64. The tight ends, Gerald Everett probably had the best day, 4 for 44. Not bad for a tight end. Parham and Henry both had under 15 yards or under on 2 catches. That's disgusting. Dicker had 6 points. Ryland had 0. And I am really glad that in my streaming column, I picked both these defenses as my defensive streamers because they were both good. 25 for the Chargers, who were awesome, and 9 for the Patriots. And if the Jaguars put up more than 8 fantasy points this week or tonight, after going into my worst week of streamers last season, I am a Jags 8 points away from a perfect week this week. But
they're going to. That's since the offense is gross.
Yeah, so if you listen to me on defenses here, you did great. Aside from that, if you had Gerald Everett, you were all right. Everyone else sucked, but well, I guess Zeke, but nobody started Zeke. But what were you expecting out of a game that was a know what the hell is wrong with the Chargers. I expect you froze again.
Yeah, I was frozen with you. Are you frozen? So yeah,
okay.
There's a bit of both. I was just waiting. I was like,
It was weird because I looked at him like I could see him slightly move. I'm like, I don't think he's frozen. I'm like, am I frozen? All right, sorry. What do you think here?
Yeah, it's just like a matrix glitch. Yeah. So the Chargers get Denver next week, and that's not great for them either. So this offense is just—it's really asking Justin Herbert to do a freaking lot, and sometimes he's able to do it, sometimes he's not. It's just like they have no explosive players. Eckler, I don't know, man. I love Eckler, but it's just rough. And even Keenan Allen, you know what the type of player he is. Like he's not going to basically take a catch and take it 80 yards a house. That's not Keenan Allen. That's not what he does. Interesting thing I think about this is Quentin Johnson saw like his career high in catches, his career high in yards, almost career high in like across the board. Quentin Johnson's coming on because like they have no one else. So you want to take a flyer on someone? Take a flyer on Quentin Johnson. Like it's actually he's been semi decent these last few weeks. So it may not work out, but like with these offenses, there's just nothing else. Like you know how these General Evers is, you know who Daryl Parham is. The tight ends with New England, just no thank you. I'm not doing that. And yeah, 100%. I'm going to do a Zeke. So if Ramondre's out, like Zeke's going to see a ton of work. He saw basically almost like 90% of the snaps once Ramondre left and 60% of the routes. Like he was very much involved in offense. So if you need throw a running back, like go get Zeke because if Ramondre's out, Zeke's going to be very viable, at least in that offense.
All right. I think we can move on. We've given this game 5 minutes, and that's probably 4.5 more than it deserves.
Too much. Yes.
Detroit, New Orleans. This one was a little more exciting. 33-28 Lions, who moved to 9-3. Saints fall to 5-7. This one was 21 or 24-0 at one point, and the Lions did their best to try and lose it. Jared Goff does what Jared Goff does, just puts up 20-something points. 213 yards and 2 touchdowns for Goff. Derek Carr goes 226 and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Also in the waiver column that hasn't been. Oh no, we have some interesting running back lines here. David Montgomery goes 18 for 56 and 1 touchdown. Gibbs 8 for 60. So he got significantly less work than Montgomery. Could have also been, like I said, it was really one-sided. So I don't know if I'll put too much stock into that. Kamara had 14 for 51 and 2 TDs, really made his day great with 8 for 58. God, he catches a lot of passes. Jamal Williams, 5 for 10, 1 reception for 6 yards. He is not the guy he was last year. That's for damn sure. Receivers, kind of disappointing for St. Brown. 2 for 49. Day was saved by a touchdown if you started him. Jameson Williams does what Jameson Williams does. He catches 1 pass, but it was for a touchdown. 1 carry for 19 yards, 1 catch for 11. This has got to be like his stat line. 1 catch, 1 carry, 1 touchdown. Like sometimes it's 40 yards, sometimes it's 12, whatever it is. It's always just like 1 or 2 and a touchdown. And then nothing for 3 games. Like, what has he got? A touchdown, he was usable, nothing. Touchdown, he was usable, nothing. Touchdown, like fucking this guy, man. Talk about boomer bust. But Chris Olave, 5 for 119. Nobody else was usable out of any of the receivers. Both tight ends were awesome. Sam Laporta, 9 for 140 and a touchdown. He carried me in at least one league that I think I'm going to pull out that I needed a must win, despite the fact that I went up against DK Metcalf. God bless. Taysom Hill, he had 13 carries for 59 yards. Taysom Hill's lines are always so fucking confusing to read because he has passing, receiving, and rushing stats.
It's everything. He's literally everything.
I'm like, what is this? So he was 0 for 2 on pass attempts, 13 through the air. Good God, I hate reading Taysom Hill's stat lines, but he was good anyways. Jimmy Graham, 1 for 6 and 1 touchdown. I didn't know Jimmy Graham was still playing, and I'm a Saints fan. Oh, that's his first game since week 7. He had 3% of snaps. He was on the field for like 1 play. And
he'll do that just randomly just show up. And yeah, fun fact, Juwan Johnson, 0 catches. That's why he's not on the stat sheet. They just literally don't have him on there at all.
I forgot that. I was like, I feel like someone's missing, but they didn't want to go 4 tight ends deep. But kicker was all right. Riley Patterson was decent. Groupie sucked. The Lions didn't kill you, but didn't do much. And the Saints didn't do anything. What are your What are your takeaways on this bad boy?
Yeah, so we were talking about potentially A.T. Perry being something. Lynn Bowden ran more routes than him and was more involved in that offense. So yeah, I don't think it's really going to happen for A.T. Perry, even though Rashid Shaheed was out and all that fun stuff. It's literally Chris Olave. Like he's the guy in that offense, and Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. Those are the big three in this offense. So if we're missing potential pieces like with New Orleans, like this is why Taysom Hill gets a massive boost because he's everywhere in that offense. He plays an entire role, and fun fact, he scored a lot of points. It was good for you in fantasy. Like that's just what he does. On the flip side, my goodness, Sam Laporta was freaking awesome. He was a monster in this game. Like he's everything you could ask for a tight end to be. He's athletic. He runs the routes. He's involved. Like it is what it is. It's great. I wish we got more of Ross St. Brown, but I think the game script really just flipped this on its head because
they were
I know.
21.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I'm with you. It's just one of those weird game scripts. Like he still read all the routes, like basically 90% of the routes just didn't work out for him. They were like, guess what? We're just gonna give it to the running backs and keep it live. The Gibbs stuff is kind of weird. So yeah, like you're saying earlier, like you can't read too much into that. But yeah, Monty, like that's really good usage, and that's no surprise when you get into a big game script. Like Monty's going to be heavily involved like that. So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's just no, you're good. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. No, it's my kid and his buddy in the other room. This is the Fortnite using up all my bloody internet, doing whatever the hell they're doing in there. I normally don't have problems when I'm home on my lunch, but we're both homesick today, so we get to deal with him sucking up all my bloody internet. I can hear he's got a phone in there watching TV. He's got YouTube on. He's got something on his phone. Then he's got Fortnite on, and homesick my ass. Homesick my ass. All right, so looks like there's. Jared Goff's good. I don't know if I want any part of Carr, even if he's healthy. I'm happy starting 3 running backs in this game and 2 receivers. I actually think my favorite stat or my favorite long shot now would be Jamison Williams, just to put him in your lineup and pray that's the week he runs into some production, which is kind of similar to Taysom Hill. 3 out of 4 times you start him, he's going to give you nothing. But when he gives you something, it's good. And Sam Laporta, my tight end rankings, when I redo my dynasty tight end, my value chart, this trade value chart for dynasty this week, I'm going to have some young tight ends ridiculously high. Like I think I'm still going to have, I'm going to have TJ, Kelsey, and then I might have Laporta, McBride at 3 and 4. It's getting ridiculous.
McBride's usage is just out of control. It's awesome. And like, yeah, all those guys, like we were talking about before, just those elite young tight ends. I want all of them. I don't really care. Just give me all of them.
All right, moving on. Atlanta 13, New York Jets 8. So we go from high. All the way down here. More lovely quarterback. They were all a touchdown. Tim Boyle was so good. He lost the job for 26 in the air. Completely useless. 8 for 26. So he eats up 8. Bryce. Oh my God. I'm having a rough time here, Jess.
So good. It keeps glitching out. I was like,
yeah, between my internet dropping and my brain dropping because of, like I said, it took me some cold and sinus. I'm really struggling this week to stay healthy, but it's also not helping my internet, I think, here. So Breece Hall has 13 carries for 16 yards and 8 for 29. Dalvin Cook does very little. Drake London has 1 for 8, and that is the most useful stat.
Grief, that's so bad.
Good God, look at the receivers. There's 1 for 8. No other receiver caught a pass.
It's all tight ends. It literally doesn't make any sense. Like I don't understand what that offense is just broken in the worst way for fantasy.
How does he still have a job? Anyways, Xavier Gibson has 5 catches for 77 yards. Garrett Wilson 3 for 50. That's disappointing. The tight ends who were the stars of the show. Kyle Pitts, 4 for 51. Mecole Pruitt, 1 for 20 and a touchdown. Jonnu, 2 for 10. Ty Conklin, 3 for 35. Good God, that was the star of the show. Both kickers were not great, but not terrible. Koo got 8. Zerline put up 7. Both defenses were awesome, and I think I had the Jets as a streamer, but I can't remember. Falcons put up 26 points in this league. Jets put up 13. What are your thoughts on this very, very ugly one?
Yeah, this is the life with Tim Boyle running your offense. It's just so gross. They can't do much of anything. And like if you're playing against any one of those guys, the defense just get a massive boost. And this is what we saw. Like Atlanta's defense did all sorts of good things. They had a ton of sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Like that's what it is.
It's getting really easy to stream defenses because there are so many epically bad offenses.
Yeah, it's rough with these quarterbacks. They just make it so easy. Like you're like, avoid this entire offense. Even like we look at Bijan stuff, it's not great. It's fine, but it's rough. It's just so hard on those guys. And same thing with like actually both these running backs. They're 2 of the better running backs in the league, but it's just so difficult with these offenses for them to do much of anything. So I think it's a good takeaway moving into next year when we have really bad quarterbacks in situations. Like just kind of drop those guys down in rankings because it's just rough on them in general.
What's Bijan? RB12. Yikes.
Brees
Moving on
16
to a game that took 9 hours to play because of weather delays. Arizona beats Pittsburgh 24-10. Who saw that coming? Kyler goes 13 for 145 and 1 touchdown, 20 yards rushing. Kenny Pickett had 7 for 70 before going out with a ankle injury that required surgery this morning. Replaced by Mitchell Trubisky, who puts up 117 yards and 1 touchdown, lost a fumble. James Conner went off 25 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. That might be one of the more impressive stat lines we've seen so far because, boy, was it gross. Michael Carter's intriguing. He had 4 for 25. Najee Harris was the better of the two here. 16 carries for 63 yards, 2 for 14 through the air. Jaylen Warren goes 9 for 59 and 1 for -4 through the air. Receivers, Greg Dortch, 1 for 19. Rondale, 1 for 6. Hollywood, 0 catches on 3 targets before leaving for the game. He is injured again, as I stated earlier. Deontay, 4 for 33 and a touchdown. Pickens, 4 for 86. Allen Robinson, 3 for 16. Trey McBride was awesome again, 8 for 89 and a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth goes 3 for 29. Prater was all right. He had a 50-plus yard field goal, 3 extra points. Boswell was not. He was 1 for 2 on field goals with a hit extra point. The Cardinals' defense was salvageable, but not great. 10 points allowed, a fumble recovery, and some 4th down stops, while the Steelers sucked. 2 sacks, a forced fumble, but gave up 24 points. What is your takeaway from this one? We have another rather ugly game to analyze here.
Yeah, just avoid this Pittsburgh offense. Like it's gonna be so difficult. They're splitting work, and then you get Trubisky. The good thing with like he's gonna hyper target Deontay, but like honestly, I don't even know if it matters. Like Deontay's day was saved by that touchdown. It's just rough. On the flip side, it's literally James Conner, Trey McBride. That's the only 2 I really wanted on that offense. I mean, Kyler's fine, but he just still has not been that great. You look at his stat line, he's not there yet. The accuracy hasn't come. It's just kind of up and down. So like until it improves, it's like those 2 pieces on that offense. It's good. The Pittsburgh guys are all just like flex levels. It's not great. Like I was starting 3 Pittsburgh guys in the league, and I was like, this is atrocious. I can't do this. So yeah, it was not fun. Not fun at all.
I like Najee and I like Deontay. I don't really want to start anyone else, and I never thought I'd say that, but here we are.
Yeah, that's where it's at. Yeah.
Next up, Indy 31, Tennessee 28. Yikes. This is actually a good game, apparently. That's how bad the week was. Gardner, 312 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, lost a fumble to slightly hurt his stat line. It was still probably top 10 on the week. Will Levis, 224 and 1 with a fumble loss. A lot of fumbles. Must have been a lot of bad weather. Zach Moss, 19 for 51, 2 for 6 through the air. Was not as good as he's been, but Tennessee's not too bad against the run. Derrick Henry, 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good God, that's got to be his best game of the season. Left with a concussion, Tyjae Spears stepped in. They had a lot of carries here, 37 total carries combined. 75 yards for Spears, 4 for 13 through the air. Michael Pittman was good. 11 on 16 targets for 105 and 1. Pierce had 3 for 100 with a long touchdown to make him usable. Downs 3 for 14. D-Hop had 5 for 75 and a touchdown, and no other receiver was really useful. We had 2 decent tight ends, by tight end standards, I guess. Kylan Granson has 3 for 72. Chigo Conquo had 3 for 62. Kickers, Matt Gay was good. He was 4 for 4 on field goals and 1 for 1 on extra points. Nick Folk was salvageable, but not great. 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 3 on extra points. Colts got you 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, a touchdown, a block, and a 4th down stop. And they were my other streamer. I can tell right now because I remember seeing that touchdown and going, doesn't matter how many points they give up. I broke my number on 8 either way. And the Titans went under that number. They had 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 2 recoveries. What are your thoughts on this one? There's a lot of spread out production here, with the exception of 1 or 2 people. There's a lot of touchdowns here that made a lot of good stat lines.
Yeah, it's not. You see the plays ran. There was 85 on one side and 70 on the other. When you're getting above 70 for both teams, it's good for fantasy. Like that's what we like to see. These quarterbacks are turnover worthy. Like they'll make mistakes and they'll also be able to support offenses. So it's kind of the ideal game script where both teams get a lot of production everywhere, and that's where you see it. Where like D-Hop, Pittman, they did their thing. Both running backs actually did good for Tennessee. So like yeah, if Henry's out, Spears is going to be like a guy everybody's going to want to target. He's going to be really good. And it was just a rough matchup for Moss. We were really bullish, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. They get Cincy and Pittsburgh the next 2 weeks, so I kind of expect that to regress positively for him. And yeah, overall, it's just like this is the ideal game where you're like, okay, even the Colts got there with defensive fantasy and the kickers. It's like it's perfect. It's the exact opposite of what we saw last couple of games.
Yeah, no one you would have started really killed you. Like Moss didn't kill you, but he wasn't great. You weren't starting Levis. How about here? Josh Downs, if you had to desperation start him, he killed you, but I don't know if he was started all that much. Pretty much everyone else that was started was startable. We really didn't, like I said, Downs was the only disappointing one in Moss, but Moss didn't kill you. He was just not great. He was average. So
yeah, it was weird. Like Percy hasn't done like anything. He showed up.
Minshew's been a good streamer. Cincy, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Vegas. That's a very favorable schedule. Even Pittsburgh. I didn't think Pittsburgh was a great matchup, but they look like a pretty easy matchup for Kyler yesterday. So
yeah, same thing with Cincy. Their defense is kind of falling apart. Like he should be fine.
All right, some offense in this one. Miami 45, Washington 15. Who could have seen that coming? Tua, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. No surprise there. Sam Howell, 127 yards passing, 1 interception, a 2-point conversion. Good God, he was all over the place. Sam Howell gonna Sam Howell. He have 2 rushing touchdowns to save his day. He did. Hey, 4 carries for 21 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Devon A-Chain comes back into the lineup and puts up 17 carries for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 for 30 through the air. Mostert was still usable, 11 for 43 and a touchdown, 1 for 8 through the air. Gibson came in for Brian Robinson, who left with a hamstring injury and could be out multiple weeks. Gibson is another great waiver wire target. Robinson had 7 for 53. Gibson came in, went 10 for 35 and 4 for 37. So nothing great. But if Robinson is out, he's going to see lots of volumes. Chris Rodriguez could also, as you see, got some carries. He could have some volume and some appeal as a waiver candidate. Tyreek Hill, good God. 5 for 157 and 2 touchdowns, both of which were over 50 yards. Just don't cover Tyreek, apparently. Just let him run wild. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 52. Well, Jalen Waddle is being hurt by the fact that apparently nobody wants to cover Tyreek Hill, so it's hard for him to score when Tyreek has already scored. Curtis Samuel is the leading receiver for the Commanders, 4 for 65. Dotson, 2 for 23. McLaren without a catch on 3 targets. The tight ends all sucked. Not that you were starting. Well, I guess you could have been starting Logan Thomas. He was recorded without a catch, but got a 2-point conversion. Jason Sanders was decent. 1 for 1 on field goals, 6 for 6 on extra points. It's a lot of touchdowns. And the Miami defense was good. I expected them to be better in this matchup, but I guess 14.5 fantasy points. You can't hate that. Commanders put up negatives, but you weren't starting the Washington defense against the Miami offense. I
I
hope.
don't think so, though. I would hope not, at least, right? Yeah, that Washington offense, man, what a zoo! Like, it's just the wildest experience with Sam Howell. Somehow McLaurin doesn't get a catch. Curtis Samuel's the guy again, but yeah, I think Robinson's going to be out, so that means basically Rodriguez is going to take the short yardage work and all of that stuff because that's what he is. He's kind of a grinder, so he'll have some work on that. And yeah, Gibson's going to be there in pass catching, so like Gibson's going to be a guy to target for sure because he'll be good. On the flip side, Devon Achane's back, and he's like, oh, guess what? He's one of the best running backs in the league again. So yeah, if you have Achane, you're firing him up as a top 12 guy, no doubt about it. And yeah, it's Tyreek, man. He's gonna set the record for like receiving yards, just like he's just incredible. It's just wild to watch him just play offense because he's the best like skill position player in the NFL. If you can't guard him, it's just a joy to watch. So the flip side of like him versus McLaurin is pretty drastic, but you know, it is what it is. One of these guys is just the best wide receiver in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. And it just every week it just blows up. It's just so offensive. Just love it.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill, man. He's so good. It's impacting Jalen Waddle.
It's like, sorry, Jalen Waddle, you're not Tyreek Hill. It's like, okay.
It's just
brutal. He's still fine. It's just, yeah, I think he's wide receiver like 20 on the year or something. Like he's just been 27. A little disappointing, but you know, it's Tyreek Hill. He's too good.
All right. Moving on to a less exciting game. We have Tampa Bay 21, Carolina 18. So I guess firing Frank Reich didn't solve all the problems, almost as if he wasn't the problem. Bryce Young, 178 yards and 1 touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 202, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not great by either. Terrible by Bryce Young. Chuba Hubbard is the number 1 in Carolina because that's how we all drew it up in the preseason. He goes 25 for 104 and 2 touchdowns. Sanders, 8 carries for 23 yards. Rashad White was awesome again. He goes 20 carries, 84 yards and a touchdown, and 3 for 22 through the air. Wide receivers, Mingo finally gets a little bit involved here, 6 for 69. DJ Chark, 3 for 56. Adam Thielen, 3 for 25. Mike Evans goes off. 7 for 162 and a touchdown. Yikes. Chris Godwin, 1 carry for 19 yards and a touchdown because that's how we drew it up. He would have no catches on 3 targets and a rushing touchdown. Okay. The tight ends, none of them did anything. K. Dotton, despite probably playing 90-something% snaps, 98% of snaps did not record a stat. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's statistically possible. Both kickers sucked. Carolina's defense sucked. Tampa Bay's DST was startable. 1 interception, 4 sacks, a forced fumble, and 2 fourth down stops, 18 points allowed. They put up 13 for you. What do you think about this one?
It's really weird, the Carolina offense. We thought Thielen was going to be like a high-end scam code PPR. He just disappeared. Like, these last 2 weeks are really concerning for him. Like, I think you're going to have a hard time starting him moving forward because he got you 3 for 25. He had 6 targets. But, yeah, like, Mingo should be definitely a guy people should be targeting. Anybody that's getting 10 targets is someone I'm going to be intrigued by. He's young. He can be the best wide receiver on that team. I mean, we saw the body control catch last week where everybody's like, good Lord, what are you doing? But like, they're obviously going to try and involve him. So I think he's worth throwing a dart at. Yeah. And Chuba Hubbard, like, we've been talking about this for months. Like, Miles Sanders just sucks. He's not good. He fits that scheme terribly and does not work. So, yeah, it's Chuba Hubbard. He's the best running back on that team. And he's going to continue to be the guy. So if you have Hubbard, you're looking good. If you have Sanders, you can just drop him. Like, I don't even want Sanders. With Tampa Bay, it's really simple. It's Mike Evans. He's so much better than Chris Godwin. I don't know how we got this so wrong between the 2 of them. Like, Evans is just back to being the peak alpha wide receiver that he was. And Godwin's just been kind of just like falling off. He's just been really
I don't think anyone thought Baker could throw downfield this consistently. That's why we did this. We thought he would just take the short stuff with Godwin, but instead he's become Mr. YOLO ball. So
it's great. He just loves Mike Evans. He just targets him all the time. So
Miles Sanders is top 5 now. I back to what you were saying about Miles Sanders. I dropped Miles Sanders twice going into this weekend, once for a DST and once for a kicker. That should tell you all you need to know.
You're just like, yeah, it's great. It's I don't like. It's wild to see how bad he's been in this offense. Like, he got such a boost from being in Philadelphia last year, right? And that offensive line, they like his biggest problem is his vision. He sucks at reading second level, and he can't make the decisions to get there. And it's really impacted. So if you have a bad offensive line, by the way, Carolina might be the worst in the NFL. It really limits Miles Sanders in the worst way. So I think they made a terrible decision to go out and pay him because they trusted too much faith in him when that line is just that bad. So it's just not good. And Rachaad White, volume stud. Like the volume is there. You like 25 opportunities or something. He's the volume king. He's just great.
Miles Sanders' talent is what limits Miles Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't see this one coming. San Francisco beats the living snot out of the Eagles, 42-19. Good God. I've been saying the Eagles were not as good as the Niners. I didn't think they were this far behind.
It was rough.
Brock Purdy, 314 and 4 touchdowns. That pass defense for the Eagles is terrible. Jalen Hurts, 298 and 1 touchdown. He also had one more rushing touchdown because the tush push is keeping Jalen Hurts fantasy relevant. The reason Jalen Hurts is a QB2 right now is solely the tush push. If they I'm not going to lie, if I'm in Dynasty, I'm not selling low on him, but I am selling high on him this offseason everywhere I can, because when they outlaw this play, he is going to lose one rushing touchdown a game. And these games, like this game here, he would have had 18 to 20 points. Instead, he almost hits 27 because of that. It's fantastic. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying this is going to hurt him more than any other quarterback. So
yeah. Like it's the perfect situation for him to take advantage of it until they do outlaw. Like it's cheat code fantasy points like every time. Like you see it, he's like, oh yeah, another touchdown. Yeah. It's just
if I could find someone who believes he's the QB1 overall, and I can trade him for Mahomes, Burrow,
I think
Allen, Herbert.
You can find somebody that will, because like this Mahomes has struggled this year, like Lamar. Really badly. Like you can definitely move him for a good package in Dynasty Superflex, I would imagine. Just do it before. If you're worried about them banning it, like do it just now. Like get out right as the season ends, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Sell them right after your playoffs end.
Yeah, exactly.
McCaffrey, 17 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown, 3 for 40 through the air. Ken Gainwell, 2 carries for 5 yards, 5 for 42 through the air. That's interesting. Swift goes 6 for 13 and 2 for 7 through the air. Not a lot to do there, but they were getting killed, so can't really run. Debo has 3 carries for 22 yards and a touchdown, 4 for 116 and 2 touchdowns through the air. Yikes. That's a big game. Brandon Ayuk goes 5 for 46 and a touchdown. Juwan Jennings, 3 for 44 and a touchdown. Devonta Smith, 9 for 96 and 1. AJB, 8 for 114. Some big numbers here from the receivers, but 42-19, that'll happen. George Kittle goes 4 for 68. Dallas Goedert did not play again, and no tight end registered a stat. Both kickers sucked, both defenses sucked, but hopefully you weren't playing kickers or defenses in this matchup anyways. What are your thoughts?
The skill position players are incredible for San Francisco. I think we all knew this, but there's a play where Debo catches like an 8-yard pass and just houses it 50 yards. Like literally breaks 2 tackles and just goes. And this is what makes Debo so special. He's a weapon. And I get people are concerned with Purdy in Dynasty. I don't. Like you should be trading like Deshaun Watson, all those guys to get Brock Purdy because it's working out so well for him. Like it's just incredible situation. It's going to be there next year. Nobody's leaving. So like it's just fired up again. It's just awesome. On the flip side with Philadelphia, like it was a rough matchup for Swift. We thought it'd be better. It obviously did not turn out better. But it's really like the wide receivers went and balled out. Devonta Smith, YOLO, I can't talk right now. AJ Brown did the same thing. Like those guys, it hyper focuses on those two. So those 2 guys, they're going to be top 12 each and every week as long as Dallas Goedert's out. And he might be back. I don't know. We're not sure. But in the meantime, like those guys are just locked in elite playmakers in the meantime. So yeah. This game was just weird, man. Like Philly struggled all over the place, and they were just outclassed in this game. So they have a couple times to figure it out because they'll probably still have home field advantage because the record and like they're not going to get caught by San Francisco. But yeah, they need to adjust and figure out how to fix that because it was rough watching this game between the 2 teams.
Yeah. All right, our second last game, we have the LA Rams 36-19 over Cleveland. Joe Flacco was surprisingly useful, unlike the rest of these backup quarterbacks. Flacco goes 254 and 2 touchdowns with an interception. Stafford 279 and 3 touchdowns for a monster game. Jerome Ford 9 carries, 19 yards, 3 for 33 and 1 through the air. Kareem Hunt 12 for 48. Kyron Williams, 21 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. He has got to be a locked and loaded RB1. He's RB11 right now. The receivers, Elijah Moore leads the Browns 4 for 83. Amari Cooper 3 for 34. Puka Nacua on the Rams side. He has 2 carries for 34 yards, 4 for 105 and a touchdown receiving. Cooper Kupp was good once again, 6 for 39 and a touchdown. And Demarcus Robinson got way more than he was entitled to, 4 for 55 and 1. The tight ends, Harrison Bryant gets 5 for 49 and is saved by a touchdown. Higbee, 2 for 35, was not good. Neither was Njoku, 2 for 17. The real D-Hop puts up 7 points. Lucas Haversick outscores him with 10. The Browns defense was surprisingly terrible, putting up negative stats, while the Rams put up 10.5. What do you got on this one? It's an interesting matchup.
Stafford's had his 2 best games of the season back to back, where he's getting touchdowns, which is so desperately needed. And he's finally paying off. Like, he's been a better quarterback than QB 18 on there. It just hasn't worked out for him. So finally back to back games where he's getting the touchdowns, and he's been really good for you. Kyron Williams is literally like a bell cow of all bell cows. It's absurd. The only guy to get another touch in that backfield was Royce Freeman with 1 carry. They're literally giving him like elite level McCaffrey usage back in the day. Like, it's just ridiculous.
94% of snaps.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the opportunity, it's nuts. Like, I get it. People don't like Kyron Williams in Dynasty and stuff, but man, if you can get him for like a 2nd round pick or anything close to that in Dynasty and is making a push for contender, I would smash that because he's going to kill for you. It's just the usage is absurd. Like, as long as he stays healthy, like, you're going to get 20 points a game. Like, it's just wild to talk about.
The fact that he is usable for fantasy boggles my mind, because I remember he was one of the guys I was really high on going into like a force. Am I back?
Yeah, you're like glitching in and out, but you're back.
Yeah. Kyron was someone I was really high on going into the draft, and then he ran like a 4.7 or a 4.8 at the combine, and I was like, nope. And he was one of those guys where I don't know why his agent didn't tell him maybe you shouldn't run, because he went from where he was projected maybe like top 3 or 4 in the class to where he was like, he went undrafted, didn't he?
He went like late
6th or 7th round. You're right.
Late day 3.
So he fell completely off the board. So that's amazing that he's actually doing something. I like him as a pass catcher, but not as
he's like
that speed.
He's a complete running back. Like, he's obviously doesn't have the elite like athleticism, obviously, because that's why he fell. But he's a complete running back. And I think the takeaway in like with these running backs is if they fit the scheme well, like I'm really not too worried about athleticism. I think we're like overvaluing that because we see these. Like, this goes back to like Le'Veon Bell, guys who are not super athletic, but they can produce in the right role. So I think we kind of need to adjust how we're treating running backs, just because we're like, oh yeah, this guy's an elite athlete, and it really doesn't work out for him because he's not that good. So yeah, I think that's something I'm going to work on now, season, like tinkering my rankings.
Exactly.
But yeah, like Puka's a freaking stud, and like he stepped in, got injured, came back, and just balled out again. So yeah, I don't know why people have Puka outside the top 12 of Dynasty. They really should not. He's awesome. And he's got like a 30% target share. I literally don't know what people want from like a wide receiver. Like, you can flip JSN, any other rookie running back, and take Dell now he's out. Flip him for Puka. Like, just go get Puka Nacua, dude. He's so good. And I'll flip side. We'll talk about like Elijah real quick. Elijah Moore is interesting, I guess, because Flacco. We talked about this with him being Njoku. We missed on that one. I thought it was gonna happen. It didn't. But hey, Flacco supported him, so. If you want to pick up somebody, because Cooper's dealing with an injury, he might be out. Elijah Moore could be the wide receiver one on that offense, and we see it. Like, Flacco's capable of supporting people. So, heck yeah, like, go get Elijah Moore. I was wrong. I'll admit it. So, I am sorry about that call. That was on me, folks. And the tight ends is just kind of just Harrison Bryant. I'm not spending too much time on that one. So, it was a fun game, but LA's too good. And are you back? I was like, do we lose you?
Yeah. Note to self, don't ever record while my kid's homesick streaming anything. I think he's live streaming whatever game they're playing in the other room, Fortnite, and that's what the issue is. I'm doing our show while he's attempting to live stream. I can't even go to sleeper now. It's giving me a nightmare.
It's all good.
Back here. I got to bring it back up.
Here, you want me to pull it up on mine?
Can you get to sleeper on your screen?
Let's give me a second. I'll upload it. Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, because like I've had the issues with the internet myself, but for some reason it working out this time. So yeah, here we go. All right, while he's figuring that out, we'll talk about this game. Jordan Love, folks. Jordan Love has figured it out.
I can hear him in the.
Yeah.
Is that you sharing it? Yeah, that's you sharing
it. Yeah, that's me.
Hey?
Yeah, I got it up for you. So yeah, I just want to talk about Jordan Love, and he has taken a step forward, man. And this was against a really good defense, and he showed out. Like this is a guy that we should be paying attention to in Dynasty now. Like I think he's figured it out, which is blasphemy for me to say. But yeah, you can go back to what you're saying.
No, I wasn't sure if you brought it up or not.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything. My kid, like I said, I could hear him in the other room, and he's decided they're streaming while they're sick. They're streaming whatever Fortnite they're playing, and it's killing my internet. So don't ever do this with the kid home again.
Yep, that's all good.
So the stats, I guess, here we've got Patrick Mahomes goes 210 and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jordan Love, 267 and 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, 110 and a touchdown with CEH, 2 carries for 6 yards. He's still alive, I guess. Hey, it's the Italians' brothers on KC. Michael Perini. Yeah. A.J. Dillon leads the way for the Packers, 18 carries for 73 yards, 1 reception for 14 yards. Nobody else does anything for the running backs. Rashee Rice goes 8 for 64. MVS 2 for 25. On the other side of the ball, Christian Watson comes back and does what Christian Watson does. He puts up 7 for 71 and 2 touchdowns and then leaves the game injured. Romeo Doubs 4 for 72. Dontavian Wicks 3 for 43.
Yep, there's the internet again. I'll take it from him. So Jaden Reed, he had 4 for 16. Yeah, Jaden Reed a little disappointing. And hey, look at that. We've got another
pack here, whatever the hell I'm looking for. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Travis Kelce goes 4 for 81, doing what he does, but was slightly disappointing because he didn't get into the end zone. Nothing good out of the other tight ends. Noah Gray got a touchdown. Tucker Kraft, nothing. Anders Carlson was all right. He put up 11 fantasy points, 7 for Butker, and both defenses killed you if you had to play either, but I don't think you were. So what do you think of this one?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, Jordan Love, like he's been awesome. They figured it out. There was a stat someone posted last week about him and Aaron Rodgers and like their first amount of games played where they looked. Yeah, don't get me started on Christian Watson, man. I was finally like, yes, it's happening again. And then the injury, I was like, son of a biscuit. But yeah, like Jordan Love, he actually has skill position players and talented, so like he should be fine. This was the biggest test for him, so like I'm not as worried as I was. But like overall, who's he got coming up? He's got the Giants, Tampa Bay, Carolina. Those defenses don't really scare me, so he should be somebody that you can actually play in one QB if you need a quarterback. I would say like I'm fine with him. Like that. Edwards-Helaire stuff was weird. I know Pacheco got hurt, so I think that's just what that is. But, like, yeah, Pacheco was awesome again. And Dillon, I don't know. I just don't want Dillon. Like, he's just not good. Even though he put up a decent day, it's just not. He's just not it, man, unfortunately. Yeah, there's my heart with Boston again.
All right. That is pretty much a wrap on my glitchy internet issue-filled show.
Yep, not our best one, but it's all good. Yep, exactly it. Exactly what it is. They're literally like they're doppelgangers.
Team game recap.
Yeah, that's Love and Love and Rodgers for their first 11 games.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up quickly because my internet is being killed by my 9-year-old and his Fortnite habits. Good God. Tune back in tomorrow, Tuesday at noon for our Week 14 Waiver Wire show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. From Aaron and Jesse, take care and have a great week.